Send me an act of your specific modern get the man mesh. We the seal never found from the hour of the books at the beacon on the right that risk. Yeah, I see the face, we came back, but it was. I get colors, we should be there, Smith, with
You're listening to Being Mr. Robbins. I'm Ryan Pfeiffer, and I am that. I'm Mr. Robbins. Who else is here?
My name's Lisa Dupe, and I am Mr. Robbins, also.
And we also have someone who can say that well, where it won't be a lie.
Yeah, my name is literally Alec Robbins. Hi.
Well, that's a crazy coincidence because the name of the person who wrote Mr. Boop is also named Alec Robbins.
Oh right, yeah, I did do that. That was me.
Oh, that was you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
we have some questions then.
Please,
yeah, actually, we've got a bone to pick with you. So.
Okay, that doesn't sound like questions. That sounds like anger, and it sounds like frustration being directed.
Well, they're angry questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're filled with rage.
You've explained yourself sufficiently. All right.
Lisa, why don't you go first?
Why don't I go first? Okay. Comics. How long? You've had is your love of comics a lifelong one? How long have you been doing
That's a great question. Yeah, it is.
Comics?
It's lifelong.
Yeah.
I have loved comics probably since I was like, I'm trying to remember the first one I would have ever read, but it could have been anything from like, a Mad Magazine comic to the earliest series I remember being into was the Sonic comics that Archie put out, and I used to get them at like the pharmacy when I would like stop by for whatever reason with my parents.
Ken
I would always
Penders.
grab them off the Ken Penders, who honestly has like the Ken Penders saga probably influenced Mr. Boop a little bit, just in terms of like creators run amok and
right
the legal ownership battle.
I feel like maybe we've discussed that a little bit, but I can't remember.
It wasn't a conscious inspiration, but it's definitely like I love that story. I love like it's such a fascinating like figure in comics to read about. So I'm sure it bled out onto the page.
Lisa's more familiar with that than I am.
Yeah, I went out of my way to read the early Archie comics, so I'm like
I'm more of a fan of the actual Archie comics.
Yeah,
I love those too, and I think that's also like pretty present in Mr. Boop. I used to read Archie comics too, because you could just get those at the supermarket at the checkout counter.
Right.
Which I found out later they would like reprint old comics and then just change the dialogue to like update it for modern times.
Oh,
so you would be getting like an Archie story that was written in like the 50s, and it would just be updated with like, I don't know, 90s lingo.
They should do the opposite.
To the cell phones.
I want to see the Archie versus Predator one, but written with 50s speak.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah.
They should do the opposite.
Yeah. I'm also interested in like web comics. You
Sure.
perhaps are inspired by and all that.
I love webcomics. I used to, I was like of the age where when I was in college and even before like high school and college, we were like in the golden age, I think. It was like maybe the end of Achewood hitting and like Dinosaur Comics was around, XKCD was still running strong. I mean, I think that one's still going actually. Whatever, like it was such a weird time because like even if you didn't like the comic, it was just nice to like have a list of webcomics to check every day.
Oh yeah.
I would just like if I sit around, I just impulsively start typing in webcomic URLs because I would do that like every morning. I would just type in like quants.com or something.
Same.
So I still have that muscle memory. I would read a bunch of webcomics. I really liked what was it like? I mean, Perry Bible Fellowship, everyone loved. That was like a real step above. Achewood's like extremely influential on me. Just the way he writes dialogue. And then I'm an unabashed Homestuck fan. I was reading Problem Sleuth back when Andrew Hussey like was, I guess, pretty unknown. I don't even know how I found it, but like not unknown, but not the phenomenon he became. So I was reading Problem Sleuth as it updated and as it ended, and like I remember Homestuck was going to start the day before my birthday. and then he did it in like it's weird that I remember this because it was
you
my
were
birthday.
almost John Egbert.
Yeah, for real. No, like the way that they do it is it's 4/11. April 11th was going to be the first day of Homestuck, and then he tried it in Flash, I think, and then he's like, "Oh, never mind, that's too much work." So he took a day off and then restarted
that's right.
on April 13th. So like my birthday is the sandwich between both start dates of Homestuck. So
Wow.
4/13 is like the Homestuck number.
Yeah,
It was always really bitter. Yeah.
Oh, we're well-read Homestuck fans.
Okay, I figured. Yeah, that tracks. If you like Mr. Boop, there's
I
a
mean,
good
I'm more of a
chance, yeah.
problem sleuth guy.
Yeah.
I do prefer Problem Sleuth. I think that's the one that really hit with me. Homestuck I read like out of habit, I guess. I loved it, but it definitely became something bigger.
I never read all of Problem Sleuth, but I can definitively say it's the better piece of media.
A tenth of the
Well,
length of Homestuck.
I think I like Homestuck more, but I respect Problem Sleuth more.
They're one story now. Like he folded all the Problem Sleuth stuff into Homestuck anyway. It became like one continuity somehow.
Yeah.
That wasn't just like Easter egg stuff?
The felt became like a big part of Homestuck at one point, remember? Look, I'm showing my true colors.
I'm
I
not
think,
a problem head.
Yeah.
I'm not a...
Is that with like the Midnight Crew stuff? Or
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds
That's
vaguely
connected.
familiar. It's been a while.
Oh, and before we're done with the comics question, I did want to say, I think more than anything, it's manga. Like that's my big inspiration. I don't like American comics that much. I like indie American comics. There's a bunch of like really great indie artists I like, but like none of them make enough money.
Jim Davis.
Jim's one of my heroes. Old Jimmy. But yeah, no, manga I think is like, look, I'm not gonna pit manga against American comics, but they offer me more. I like what I get out of manga a lot more than I don't care about superhero comics. It's just a complete like, I don't know, whiff for me. Look, there's probably some cool stuff in there, and I do like some of the art I've seen, but for the most part, nah.
I forgot the intro question, which is what we ask all our guests. What is your history with being Jim Davis and or Mr. Boop?
I know what being Jim Davis is only because I've read about it like one time, but I don't have any history with it.
Wait, what do you mean you've read about it?
Wow, that's wild. Really?
Well, I've just I've heard the name, right? Like, isn't the name of the podcast?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's the podcast we ripped off. Yeah.
Yeah,
right. Okay, that's all I know about it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
And what about Mr.
surprising
Boop?
you've read about it.
Have you ever read that?
Niche.
I might have only read about being Jim Davis because of your podcast.
That's
I
very
don't know
likely.
where I
Tracks.
first
That
heard of it,
tracks.
but that would
That's
make
extremely
sense.
likely.
One of my favorite.
I only know being Jim Davis because I stumbled upon it on Google Images.
One of my favorite things that I say about this show is that it's inspired by a niche internet series, but not the one you're thinking of. It's inspired by being Jim Davis, not Mr. Boop.
Well, it's
both. I mean,
That's
yeah,
the whole- that's the whole-
it's the combination.
We're still not on the same page. About
Yeah. No, we got them on before we got Alec on. All I'm saying. We
were also on being Jim Davis before we started. Like that's literally how we met.
Yeah.
Um.
Our shout out to being Jim Davis.
Shout out.
Yeah. If you hadn't accepted this, we would have just asked all the questions for you to the hosts of being Jim Davis.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we would have asked that up.
Well, that would have been great. Yeah. They might do a better job than me.
And have you ever listened to the podcast before?
No, but that is not because I don't want to. It's because I don't like the like to dive too deep into someone analyzing my own work. I like to read criticism of it, but like I don't think I need to listen to like a long YouTube essay about it or a podcast about it, and it's no bearing.
That's recommended anyway. The people
but no, I haven't
the
listened.
Podcast.
But I've been aware. I've been greatly aware of it. Like I think I saw it when you first started it, and I was like, "Oh shit, someone's doing a podcast." All right.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that
oh no,
the first season is unlistenable. I think that's right. That's good to say, right? The first book is. We find our
What
footing
constitutes a
eventually,
season? Was it like story arcs? Was it the Mr.
yeah, the seasons are.
Yeah,
Because being Jim Davis doesn't even have seasons, so we just.
I mean, Garfield
we
doesn't
just
have
did
seasons,
seasons
so.
to go with
Okay.
the volumes. Yeah.
That's perfect.
So, strip 168, right?
Which one's that? I don't know these by heart.
No. You drew yourself shirtless, right? And your nipples, you can see your nipples. And
Probably.
we wrote down, this was one of the only, we had a bunch of questions during the show, but we didn't write any of them down. Except for this one. This is the one question I actually wrote down.
168, you said?
Yeah, but I don't remember why we asked that question. I haven't looked back at the strip.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
Of course they would think to ask this.
I see. So,
and that question is?
It's the first. Are they accurate?
Are the nipples accurate?
Are the nipples accurate?
I'm looking at it now, and I only see one nipple. The other one's obscured. It looks like I just drew this little wonky, so I would say no, not accurate. I don't think the nipples lined up perfectly, or the size of it is also like, it's hard to tell if I drew it in a way where the little circle is supposed to be the whole nipple, or if there's supposed to be like an areola around it that's implied.
I actually have to look this up too now.
It's very no. I see why you're asking about it. I understand the confusion. I am surprised you wanted to know. I can totally see just like looking at this and going, I don't think that is a good drawing, and then moving on.
Yeah, but you see, we did an episode on this strip.
Right. You have to really spend some time.
We got to analyze every little bit. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this much. Yeah. It was. I'm looking back, and it would have been the second strip where I drew myself in that more realistic style. So I was definitely not fully in the groove yet.
No.
If I can.
I feel like if you were to. I feel like later on you wouldn't have even bothered drawing the nipple at all.
No, I would draw the nipple. Of course.
Oh, wait, yeah, you do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, wow.
Well, you did, yeah, in
Alec is our
176.
guest,
It wasn't that
Ryan.
different.
Well, I don't remember
like,
if I... Oh, I see. 184 and the
176.
nipple shows up again. 176? It does.
Actually, that gives me a good...
I don't know, I feel like the real lifestyle kind of simplified over time.
Yeah, I feel like people...
But that was on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I've seen people... That was actually... I was going to ask
I think we've debated that, actually.
Yeah, I've seen people say, and we debated on this show,
obvious
whether or not it was a intentional...
it wasn't scientific. It wasn't like I need to gradually make it this much more cartoony, but I would I would allow myself to be looser as it went on.
I guess the point of debate was like whether, cause obviously at a certain point it was obvious that it was intentional, but it's like but like I guess the debate is like at what point it was intentional, and if that point was like, if it had started being simplified before that point, or
it was literally like as I went on, like when I was starting to draw myself realistic for this arc, I kept I really tried. I put a lot of work into it. I was like, I need to make this stand out and look different, and that pressure was lightened as I went on, because I knew where it was going and I wanted to have it feel a little natural. And of course, like the big jump back to cartoon Alec is like still really big, but
that makes sense.
That's a I mean, I'm hogging all the questions, but I keep coming up with questions. How far in advance did you plan out the events of the strip? Like, was it the week before, or did you plan at the beginning of the book? Or
oh, that's right, we didn't write that one down.
Some of them could be pretty far along. Like I would it was a mix of like I kind of knew where I wanted to go with things, and also I didn't want to like lock myself in to too much, so I would like treat it kind of like stage improv, where I'm just going off the audience reactions and going in the directions that I thought would be thematically interesting. Like early on it was kind of aimless, like I was just sort of like planting seeds and seeing where they took me, and I knew that once I resolved the Bugs Bunny murder attempt, I was like, there needs to be new conflict, and I thought it would be very funny if in a character that's like in a comic that's like a fantasy, like a wish fulfillment fantasy, for the hero to then have like erectile dysfunction. Like, why would they invent that problem for themselves in this fictional world? So that became like a new avenue to start going down, as like Alec is self-sabotaging, and I had already set that seed up with like the I'm afraid to divorce Betty. So those things came naturally, and then I would like keep an eye on them and be like, what do I think I can get more like rich, meaty results out of, and which ones are good to move on from. But the big one was the the idea to make it go into the real world eventually like that.
Mhm.
That was planned for book 3, and I had too many other ideas for book 3 with the copyright stuff, with all the like public domain legal, like
Mhm.
Betty's father battling stuff. So I let that be its own book, and that's why there's like I think the hint with Elizabeth is like
Oh yeah.
with Liz is in the end of book 2, right? Like you see that hint early because that was going to
Yeah.
be part of book 3. So
Mm.
I just pushed it back. Oh, and it was also going to be about the grandma, which she never appeared in the strip, but it was specifically
Huh.
supposed to be. Yeah, like this is a fun little tidbit. Because one of the things I always thought about with Betty Boop was like it's like a thing grandmas are obsessed with. Like elderly women in America have like statues of Betty Boop in collections and all that. And I wanted it to be a little bit about how one of these elderly women would discover my comic in the real world and be really confused by it and this new
Oh my
context for
God.
Betty Boop.
Mhm.
And there's like little smidgens of that, but I ended up veering into the Liz territory instead.
Mhm.
And used that like because that first tease was supposed to be a hint not about Liz but about the grandma character. But
So
yeah,
Liz
I, like,
wasn't even gonna be like.
she would have been a character, but like she would have been secondary to the grandma thing.
Wow.
I think.
The
I
whole
mean,
arc with Liz you came up with later with like
yeah, I mean,
who Liz
obviously, like
becomes and
Liz became way more important, and then I decided that was way more interesting. But like there was a period
Yeah.
of time where it was more for the grandma to even discover Mr. Boop, there would need to be a younger relative who like tuned her onto it.
right.
This is the Lost Mr. Boop arc. We're
Is
talking
Liz
about.
Italian, by the way?
I wrote I did the Nana line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I have an Italian friend who we would joke about the word Nana, and I think that's why I put it in. But also,
Right.
I think it's implied that she's Jewish. Like there's a
Yeah,
Hanukkah reference.
I
I
believe
used to
you
call my
then you
Was
have
that
a-
at all
Nana.
because of
You
like?
have a Jewish wedding, I believe.
You
Oh,
do, I
right,
can't even
yeah,
remember.
yeah. Well, Betty
Oh
Boop
yeah, with
is
the
also
stepping on the
kind of
glass,
like
yeah.
Jewish, I think, or something.
Is she?
sort
I
of.
have no
I-
idea about that.
Or Italian. It was
Alex,
either
she's your
Jewish or
wife.
Italian or
Surely you-
something.
Surely
That didn't come from any research.
Yeah, no, we have a Italian regular guest, and she really wanted to do this. Come on for this strip, even though it's the finale, and we don't usually have guests. He's like, no, I've got to be there for the Nana strip. I've got.
The
Yeah.
Nana, yeah, the Nana reference. Let's just say she's
Well,
Italian. I'm fine.
I know.
Yeah.
I had something else. There was one of the Patreon descriptions. I think you mentioned how you were going off like a notes app script for something, and you
Mhm.
didn't understand what you were confused by what you meant by it, or something like that, or shocked. I don't remember. That just came to.
I
when we were talking
can't
about
remember what specific instance you're talking about, but that does happen to me all the time. Where
Yeah.
I'll
Like,
write.
what the-
I use my phone notes to write stuff down because I have a terrible memory. So like I will just write down any fragment of an idea, and if I'm like in a social gathering or if I'm like busy, what I write down is not going to be that detailed, and I'll check it later and usually be a little disoriented.
Right.
But
can
I
relate
mean,
to
I wrote
that.
most of Mr. Boop in my phone app. Like
Yeah,
I think
that's-
I've mentioned this in like interviews before, but
I believe you mentioned once that you wrote the first 50 in one go
That's-
on your note app.
I think that's
That's-
exactly right. Yeah, it could have been a little less than 50, but like it was
Mhm.
all in one go
I
in
mean,
my
that-
car after
That
work.
that lines up because that's when the what's it called, the Bugs Bunny arc ends, I think, and then
Yeah,
Mm.
I had like the first burst of juice there, where it was
Mm.
like I kind of knew where I was going for a bit.
yeah.
Anyway, going back to the nipple thing.
Yeah.
For I was just gonna say innie or outie, but that would sound like I'm
That's not a
asking.
ni-
Are the
Yeah, are you-
nipples
Yeah.
innie
Are
or
your
There-
outie?
there are
nipples
inverted
in your-
nipples, but mine are not. No.
That was
That
we-
question came up at one point.
because you do show your belly button during the pregnancy arc, right?
Right.
Oh, do I draw it like an outie?
I think
Because
so.
it's supposed to be like a pregnancy belly button.
Yeah.
It's not rendered based on mine.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Artistic liberties.
Yeah. Obviously.
How devoted to Betty Boop are you in real life?
I don't. Well, look, I love like animation as a whole, and I very much love like old Fleischer cartoons, and that is like any love I have for Betty Boop is because I love those. I don't really care about Betty Boop.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
That wasn't that's no longer true. Like now I love Betty Boop.
Well, do
now
you have
it's
any like Betty Boop merch or anything like that?
No, because I don't want to have that. Like I don't want to have like I don't want to be
Too
the Mr.
real.
Boop guy and also have actual Betty Boop shit. And not because it would be like too embarrassing to like be like my character, but because I think it would be too embarrassing to be too fixated on that one thing I made. Like someone recommended I should get like a Mr. Boop license plate. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't.
Well, that's kind of different. That's like literally a Mr. Boop thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
What
maybe
if you could have the statue that started it?
I wanted that. I did like debate in my head. I think you probably read about this already then, but I had like this
No,
bar.
I hadn't heard of that.
Okay, so like I wrote I wrote about this like in an interview I think at some point that somebody asked me, but this whole thing started because there's a bar I used to go to called the Winchester Room,
Right.
and they had a Betty Boop statue, and I would joke about it with my friends. The bit became like, oh, Betty Boop's like a sex icon. Like, why doesn't anyone talk about her like that? So I would do that to my friends at the bar, like put my arm around Betty, be like, she's pretty fucking hot, right? Or whatever. And then I would like do the doodles and make my friends laugh, and then that became Mr. Boop. But the bar closed during the pandemic, and I had like this period of time where I was kind of fixated on like I need to like get in touch with them and ask them what they're doing with that statue. Just because like it felt very like that statue, just that specific one too was like the genesis for all this. So I did feel like maybe I should look into getting it, but I think I wouldn't have really wanted it.
Is the bar still closed?
Yeah, I think so.
That's kind of weird because that's like it's closed because of the pandemic, and then Mr. Boop kind of came out of that. So it's like the spirit of the statue morphed into the comic.
Yeah, it's like when a corpse, becomes fertilizer and plants.
Exactly.
Rise out from it.
Alex, she needs you. You need to go to her right now. You need to leave this interview and run.
My friend got me a Mr. Boop Funko Pop a Betty Boop Funko Pop at one point. So I do have that
beautiful.
somewhere. I don't display it. It's in a shell. It's in a drawer.
I thought you were announcing here the Mr. Boop Funko
Funko
Pop.
Pop.
Oh God, no. They would never.
I mean, Casey Green got the Question Hound Funko Pop.
Yeah, but that's his original character. I guess me, maybe a
yeah,
Funko
you.
Pop
It would be you.
We wouldn't. Yeah, I'm
It would
looking.
the boop part would be censored out. You just say Mister.
I would have a little crisis of conscience if I was asked to make a Funko Pop because I don't like them and I think they are bad. But
What about a YouTube?
I had to stop after the Garfield one. I was like, I gotta get the Garfield one because it's Garfield. I have to get Garfield.
What about U2s?
Yeah, what if it was a U2s?
what is that?
You familiar?
That's,
They're like Funko Pops but for YouTubers. And they're uglier.
Instead of big bug eyes, they're like
they got tiny little
squint eyes. Yeah.
Those sound a lot worse than Funko
They're
Pops.
no good.
I agree. I don't know if most people would agree with that, but I
don't know
agree
if you're
with that.
familiar with.
There's also a question how do U2s?
I don't know if you're familiar with this, but today there was a U2s for the web series Edgeworld announced, and it looks so bad. That's with the moment where I was like, YouTubes are bad.
Well, they don't just have YouTube ones because they also have Peanuts and Garfield.
Oh,
wait, so they also have that like licenses for fictional
Family Guy.
characters?
Yeah, they a few years ago they started doing like everything One Punch Man, Family Guy.
They do
whatever,
like
and
a lot of.
It's still called U2s, but
Okay.
They do a lot of.
I don't
memes
like
and
this
stuff.
at all. I don't.
no,
I'm not
I
happy
don't.
hearing about it. You've ruined my evening.
I'm sorry.
No.
If you get contacted by YouTube,
That was
just
inevitable.
say no. Yeah, no.
I'll do a
it's sad to-
Nendoroid. Give me the Mr. Boop Nendoroid.
It's that's great. It's sad to know that you don't have any Betty Boop merch because I've got my Betty Boop keychain right here and my Betty Boop steel poster looking down at me every time I do
You didn't
this.
have any before, Lisa, right?
I started collecting because of the podcast. Yeah, it was. I actually started.
But you're
watching a
allowed
lot
to.
of-
You're free to. If I do
I'm
it,
not
I get,
Mr.
it's like a
Boop
weird
anymore.
thing. Yeah.
I'm not.
I don't think I have any either, though. I have. Well,
Oh, you know what else I do? I do have some Mr. Boop merch that because I put out those shirts for a little bit before they got taken down. I have like one of those, and then I also have like a fan made this great sweater that has like embroidered Betty Boop, and it says like I refuse to divorce my wife Betty Boop.
That's beautiful.
And I was offered a sweater, and I took it. So I have
Wait.
that hanging up, but I don't ever wear it.
Didn't
Wow.
you not? Weren't you like not able to even get one of the shirts you designed?
Yeah, the Bugs Bunny one, the one I hope Bugs Bunny isn't killing my. I don't even remember what the shirt was. Jesus. But there was a Bugs Bunny themed one, and that one got taken down within like hours, I think. But a bunch of people got them. I just didn't think to like when you make the shirt, you can get a test print, but you still have to pay for it. And I'm like, fuck that. I don't want to do that again. I should have.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a rare item, everyone. You can sell that.
It is.
Probably is already.
Yeah.
Although there's a bunch of bootlegs of the I refuse to divorce my wife one, and you can just get one of those.
Yeah, obviously. We're pro bootleg here, I believe.
Yeah, it's kind of baked into the whole concept.
Yeah. So like you make comics, you've done game stuff, and you act and produce, and I think even maybe you've co-directed a film, right? Right?
Do you know? Okay, well, there's.
I just checked your IMDb beforehand, but I'm not.
Oh, okay, that's how you. I was like, how do you even know about this? Yeah, there was just a college film.
Yeah.
I was in like a group of filmmakers at Western Michigan University that we felt frustrated by the film program, so we put together our own club basically, and we like self-funded and self-produced, and it was the first like feature film that students at Western had ever made, which is, it's not good. It's just like something a bunch of students
And
thought
that's
together over a summer.
That's not available anywhere. No one can ever see that. No one will ever see that.
Look, it's not like it's just.
It's not going on the
watch it. Yeah.
It's not going on the Mr. Boot Special edition that comes
No,
with all of the DVD.
It's
works
fine.
and
I'm glad we made it. It was a fun experience, but like it's not for people to watch.
So my actual question there was, what do you consider your main thing? Like, is it the comics? Is it the games? Is it producing? What?
Nothing. I don't know. I hate that. I like. I used to.
You're an artist.
Yeah, I do it. I mean, look, I like working in different mediums. That's like the way. I don't know. It depends on like if I have an idea, I will think about which medium that I proficient in that would be best for this idea. And so like I know how to I know how to make small little games. I know how to make short films and music videos. I know how to draw and write. So I can pick and choose. Like Mr. Boop just made total sense as a comic. It was something that I was playing around with in my head, and I didn't think that hard about it. But like, yeah, that was always just going to be a comic. But if I had an idea, like similarly, that made more sense as a video game, I would do that. I don't think anything is the main thing I do.
No, okay. We
career-wise, I work in video games now, so I guess it's that. But,
yeah. When you Google Alec Robbins, I think Google gives you the description of video game person, video gameologist.
Oh.
I think
let's see.
Yeah,
Where does it say that?
If you
that's weird. That's weird. When I search, it says subject of the podcast being Mr. Boop. That's...
Oh, it says artist now.
Oh, artist is great. I'm happy with that.
When I checked like earlier this week, it was like the game writer or whatever the fuck it is.
It credits me in the People's Joker. I have a little cameo in that.
Oh,
is
that out yet? I don't know if that's out yet.
No, it's yeah, I don't know when it'll be available. I've seen it. It's fantastic. I'm really proud to be in it. Vera's amazing, but it's not going to be available for a bit probably.
We actually we played. What's it called? Heartbreak High. Yeah, we played Heartbreak High on stream, and you were there. You joined us in chat. That was us.
I remember that.
That was us. You saw.
I do that anytime I see somebody streaming
that?
If someone tweets it, I don't know how I found it, but you might have tagged me. You probably tagged me.
You were just there. You just appeared.
So.
You were somewhere.
I don't usually tag.
Idea.
I know I retweeted it on the Being Mr. Wib account.
You saw someone was playing it, and you started to float towards it like a delicious pie.
Google alerts.
I've caught it a couple times when people stream it, and someone did it just the other day, and I saw like they tagged me in it, and they said they were going to stream, but I was like I had plans that night. So you reminded me I want to go back and watch their stream. I'm proud of that game. I love watching people play it.
Oh yeah, I love that game.
I'm pretty sure
Thank
Brian
you.
thinks it's better than Mr. Booth. I think you've said that multiple times on air. I think
I would agree with that. Yeah, sure.
Now, there's a question relating to Heartbreak High.
Wait, hang on. Yeah, about Heartbreak High. Was that you like said there was a secret thing? Is that true?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. No, for real. I this comes up every once in a while. There's a secret that I forgot how to access, and I no longer can look up. I lost the project
you forgot
file.
to implement it.
No, it's in. I've done it before. It's the secret is you are able to find me in the game, and it's a photorealistic image of me, and I have a few different reactions, and you can break up with me as like the creator of the game. But the way you access it, there's like 3 steps, and they're all very arcane. It has to do with like, I think that the way you kick it off is one of the characters asks like if I'm in a game or something. Like, you can like they start to become a little self-aware, and you can keep prodding them. And if you do that, I think I appear or something, like something shows up, like a message saying like stop doing that. And then there's a couple other moments where you are
we didn't
able to do
even
it.
trigger that.
I think
There's so
I think
much
we
in that
did,
game that is hard to find.
we did get to the self-aware character, I believe.
Yeah,
on our first
there's like
through. Yeah.
There's something I wish I could give you better advice,
Now,
but there's a way to play it where you'll trigger something. And then there's something else with the hats with Rad Brad, where you're supposed to like you learn what to do with Rad Brad's hats, and then there's a secret you can do with that will then trigger the next bit. I swear to God that it's all in there.
Now,
and I wish I could show you.
This sounds a lot like someone who's trying to invent rumors about that game. Is Luigi in this? Do I have to stand in one room for too long?
It's funny that it's like impossible to get to. It's like one of the funniest things about the game to me that I forgot how to access this. But it's true. I promise you.
No, okay, I get this kind of goes with what you were saying earlier, so I think I already know the answer to this. But if you were to propose to someone in real life, would you use a Buddy Boop themed engagement ring?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
They don't deserve that.
How worried are you about like the irony bleeding through in that?
In a relationship?
Into your life in
anything?
general.
Oh, it's fine. I think
because you seemed like you didn't want the Buddy Boop merch or anything, because that would be like.
Yeah, but that's a little different. That's like not me being scared that people are gonna like get confused. That's more about like it's not my style. I don't like to. I don't know if I were George Lucas, I don't think I'd have Star Wars stuff around my house. You know what I mean? Like that's if I were my own version of George Lucas. Like that's not how I operate.
All right.
The most I would do is like I have my book on my shelf. I like that. I like to
It's
display.
a good
Like,
book.
I love a physical book that I made, and I love that object. I put a lot of power in books, so I'll display my books.
Silver Sprocket, everyone. They did
such a good job.
Actually, I actually have a question relating to that. The Silver Sprocket pressing.
Please.
So in the finale video for this Mystery Boop, the Silver Sprocket one has like some slight changes made to it in like the framing and everything.
Yes.
And I was wondering whether or not that was a decision on your part or on Silver Sprocket's part. Or the people at Silver Sprocket.
Collaborative. It was a little bit of like I tried to do it myself for the original printing of book 4 by itself, like the solo volume 4. And I wasn't super happy with how I made it work, but I was kind of just like, I gotta get it out. I don't want to keep toiling over this.
Because I noticed, there was some things.
The biggest thing I forgot was the letter that after the letter that Betty's father reads, there's supposed to be like a cut back to his face and his reaction, and I think I left that out of the volume 4 printing. So I was like, we need to get this into the hardcover. It's like that's like the joke to me. Is like the letter is funny, but like him being like so confused about this letter that I sent. It's supposed to be like Mark Fleischer in real life. It's not really Betty's dad anymore, and he's like supposed to be unaware of Mr. Boop, or at least dimly aware.
I think we mentioned that wasn't there.
Yeah, but we put it in the hardcover, thank God. And in the process of doing that, we also like brightened up some of the black and white images they didn't look so good in the original printing. And we arranged the images in a way that I think read a little better. Like, they're fine for a video, but in page turning and all that, we chopped out some pages for better pacing and all that.
Yeah, I noticed there was a one particular segment that in the video and the printed edition, not the hardcover, that broke the what's it called, the 180 rule. And I was pretty bad. I was like, wait a second. I never noticed until
fuck that rule.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I definitely broke it. Yeah.
But I never would have noticed unless I was comparing them as hard as you have to for this show.
No, you've done some close readings. Yeah.
You said that was supposed to be the real, like, it's not Betty's dad anymore, but it's also still like a fictional guy. Like,
it's just. I guess I shouldn't say this out loud, but it's supposed to be the current like CEO of Fleischer, which is I think Mark Fleischer, or maybe not the CEO, whatever his title is. It's supposed to be the real guy at that point.
Well, we looked into that. But it seemed like it was a completely different guy.
Oh, I didn't draw him to look like him.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I drew him to be reminiscent of Betty's dad, but a little more.
But it was also a different name, I think.
I think it was a
I
Fleischer.
can't
I think the Fleischer's still on it.
I'm pretty
Well,
sure
it was
Fleischer.
a Fleischer, but it was like, I don't know. Maybe
Whatever.
I can't remember. We didn't take a note about that.
We actually
Yeah, I might be misremembering, to be honest. Yeah.
at the
I'll defer to you.
It
You
seemed
probably
like
looked
it was
at more.
another layer of fictionalized.
It's definitely not real, but it's supposed to.
Well,
read
yeah.
as real,
You didn't take photos of him. You didn't.
No.
No.
You didn't follow him around and sketch for reference.
It doesn't look like the real guy, and that's on purpose. It was supposed to. You're supposed to like read it as what if Betty's father was real.
Right.
Actually, that reminds me the opening the hardcover in the thank you segment. The thanks, it mentions Fleischer lawyers or something. I was wondering if that's tongue in cheek, or whether or not there are actually some contact.
Can you explain the joke there?
Yeah, please explain. I don't understand.
There's not really a joke.
I don't understand that.
Well, there is a joke. The joke is just I'm being an asshole. Yeah.
Explain every joke in Mr. Boop, because we didn't get it. This is our big confession. We don't
can you
get
go
it.
through each strip one by one, please, and read it out and
yeah.
Look,
and
if you would sit down with me and do that, I actually would. But I don't think it's the best idea.
We could do 215 more of these. We could. No, yeah.
I mean, you caught me at a funny time. I just did a reading in LA.
I had noticed that. I told Lisa to check your Instagram story because I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the first time I've...
You're horning in on our territory.
Yeah, we're talking about...
I'll stop. But no, I mean, it's funny because I
You-
don't usually reread Mr. Boop, but I did just the other day, so this is like a good time to be talking
What was that for?
A friend of mine, Alex
Book signing?
Crocus, just had a new book come out called Loudest and...
Oh.
Shoot, yeah, I literally just... I'm going to flub the name, but it's a great book. He does a lot of good comics.
It's beautiful.
Loudest and
Nice.
Smartest, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have an extremely hard-hitting question here.
Please.
Let's go.
Popeye. Thoughts?
Popeye's great. Yeah, what about him?
What do you think about Popeye?
Why wasn't he in the strip?
Do you
Why
like
wasn't
Popeye?
he in the strip? That's a good question. I do like Popeye.
No, that wasn't the question.
That was
you like
no.
Popeye?
I was I was just saying that.
This feels hostile. I have no problem with Popeye. I don't like love Popeye. I think Popeye is great. I like I love
Interesting.
old like that era of animation. And I like him. I like the Nintendo game. I like it all.
How
I
about
like the Gendy Tartakovsky film?
What about the ZX Spectrum?
yeah? What about
game?
the
I
please?
didn't play that one. Sorry.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
I don't. This isn't. I don't understand what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm
here,
worried. I'm worried I answered that wrong.
but- Well, I think that's everything.
No,
it's not.
no.
everything.
It's not. What's your next question, Lisa?
Okay, so Mr. Boop, seemingly like very quick out of the gate, they had like a super large audience, and a lot of the people who were reading it were like figures in like the industries and stuff, well-known people. And I was wondering if these people discovered you through Mr. Boop, or if you had some previous connections to any of them, whatever. Because you worked as a producer or
I think it was a mix. It was like I think most people, including other comic artists, discovered me through Mr. Boop. Because I had not had any notable success in comics before Mr. I made stuff. I knew other comics people. I was a big fan of the indie comics world and webcomics world. So like some of those people I'd already become somewhat friendly with, but I was not a known commodity. So I think that like first stepping stone where I was like already kind of in that world, just the tiniest bit, was enough then for that first burst of people to push it out into the world, and then it snowballed from there. Definitely like 99% of those people you're talking about did not know who I was before.
No,
like a lot of the guest artists. And...
Yeah, no, and that's like that's huge because I used like that as an opportunity. Like noticing people I really respected in the comics world were interested in Mr. Boop. I was like, oh, I love these people. I want to work with them. I wonder if they'd be interested in contributing guest comics. So I kind of used that as like a way to open the door with a lot of people, and some of them I still talk to all the time. I met my partner, like Casey Nowak, who's another amazing comic artist, kind of through Mr. Boop, because I originally reached out about guest comics and asking about Silver Sprocket and all that. So, I mean, yeah, I've plenty of people I've met and become very close with because of this.
Actually, this is weird. I haven't seen your half of this, but I really love the Makes the Best TV Show in the World duology. But I haven't seen. Yeah. I've seen Joni's part, but I haven't.
Joni
seen
did an amazing job. Yeah, Joni's is better than mine. Yeah, Joni put a lot more work into it.
Well, I mean, it's better. Yeah, I guess to be the
more
the
joke
greatest.
of mine was that it was kind of lazy. Like it was. I didn't want it to actually be like
the greatest.
Boring to watch and come off as like not worth your time. But the premise of it was that I spent the money immediately and didn't know what to do.
Oh. Because I couldn't actually find a copy of it. I couldn't find a copy of your Makes the World Greatest TV show.
I think it's on Bug TV, which I still barely know what it is, but they paid me to do it. And
there it is.
That's like they kind of own the rights to it, I guess. But it's all so loose. There was not really like that many. I didn't sign that many.
I got to do a free trial to Bug TV now. Well, thanks.
Well, I think I can post it now. I think the license is done. I think I'm allowed to. I just haven't.
Oh, we'll post it. We'll post it to the Patreon. If you can give us the rights, if you can give.
Yeah, sure.
Sell it to us.
Years.
That's legally binding.
We'll rebrand it as a Mr. Boop.
We'll do Mr. Boop make the greatest TV show of all time. That would be
so it gets more clicks. Speaking of Mr. Boop.
Oh yeah.
In the hardcover collection, you included a Sol Red essay as the forward. I was wondering why that specific essay, because there was a bunch from Sol Red like released within a short period of time, and there was that one specifically you chose to use as the forward.
Yeah, that was a lot of back and forth with Silver Sprocket about what to include at the front. We were maybe going to get like a forward written for the book. We tossed that around and a few names for people to do it, and then we also just we knew Sol Red had done these like amazing essays that one week. They did like a Mr. Boop week. So we knew all those existed and we really liked them. And part of the conceit of the hardcover, we decided, was that it was like presenting this as a prestigious, like, historic document that needed to be preserved, which was a joke, kind of, but also like sells it in a weird way. Like when you do that joke, it just kind of like becomes a little bit real. With the effort and presentation going forward into it, but we decided that essay was good because it was a good choice because it covered some of the history and the context, and it felt like it would have been a real one you'd include in the front of like a Peanuts collection. It had that same like academic air to it. It was very well researched and had like a lot of just nice historical context to couch the whole comic in.
Yeah, we also at the end of that article also mentions how you should steal that article and post it somewhere else. So we were thinking that was why it was included. We were like,
that's just a nice little
that's a bonus.
Yeah.
So that wasn't like didn't factor into it.
It didn't like really come up, no, but it was nice. That's like a good element of it.
We will steal that. I mean, we did. We read it all out. We already
did.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Lots of different versions of Mr. Boop out there, but what do you consider the definitive one? We here, or at least me, I consider it to be the Twitter thread to be the definitive way of reading it, because then you've got all the stuff in context. But what do you think?
I would say the Twitter thread is, and I tried to mimic this on the website. It has the mixed media stuff like slotted in when I posted them. So both of those versions, you'll get that. The Twitter thread, I don't think anything's definitive, but the Twitter thread and reading it at the time and being able to read the replies of other readers, I think adds a lot of dimension to it. There's like a certain level of kayfabe that was going on, and theatrics that the audience was taking part in.
Kayfabe?
Kayfabe.
Yeah, I might be pronouncing that wrong. I think
It's
think
like a
but
it's a wrestling
the
term.
wrestling term.
Yeah.
Like the theatrics, like when you're wrestling and you're playing the heel and you're the villain, like you don't break character. It's all part of that.
It's
Like,
basically
Right, with
like
the different replies
And the crowd- but the
stuff at
crowd-
time, yeah.
and like the crowd also like is
Yeah.
part of it. Like they understand that this is theatrical and this isn't real, but we're not gonna admit that. We're gonna play along and
We
become
tried to
like-
cover a little bit of that in the
we tried.
looking back.
we
like with
we read some of the Patreon comments, I think.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
well,
part-
there
I'm
was
like-
that. There was also the extra strip that like the one.
oh yeah,
too,
there's a couple
was it
extra strips.
Justin?
Yeah.
I don't know if we recovered them all. Honestly,
So many.
They're
Maybe
hard
we
to
didn't see
find.
them all.
I don't include them in most of the reprints or anything, but
Right.
There's like a Justin McElroy one.
Yeah.
That one we
I
covered.
actually
Yeah.
I wrote the Mr. Boop Wikipedia article. don't mean to brag, but I noticed today that
Thank you.
the reference to the Justin McElroy article strip was removed from the page since I last edited it. So I'm like, oh, okay. I figured
from
that.
from the Mr.
Wow.
Roop Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Roop-
I added
Yeah.
it to the Wikipedia page because
Okay.
because the more like links to other things you can get, the more authentic it seems, right? Like the
I
more
see.
relevant it seems. So I was like, oh well, Justin McElroy had a thing,
I'm
and
sorry, Lisa writes a lot of.
I do a lot of
Wikipedia
Wikipedia
pages.
articles. The Mr. Boop one is not a great article, I'll admit, because I've never done
No,
one
it's
for a comic
fantastic.
before. But yeah,
I'm glad I got one.
yeah,
Thank you.
it was after the Vox article was made, because then there's something hard you
Ah.
can source there.
Mm.
A lot of it's got one of those nice big red warnings at the top that lets you know that this is a bad article.
No, I don't see that on mine.
It's where the orange where it says it relies too heavily on references to primary sources.
Oh, I do see it.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's right there.
Yeah. I think it's an alright article. I mean, someone else
It's
who's
great,
better
you
at than
killed
me
it.
should probably.
There was like a Mr. Boop wiki at one point. Like
Wow.
like
I didn't
I
know
don't
that.
know if it's still around.
There was a
It-
Being Jim Davis wiki too.
Yeah, I did a Bean Davis wiki.
There was
done-
a TV tropes page too, which I love.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
exists.
I think I cited the TV tropes page on the original draft of the Wikia. The Wikipedia. Because it was the only proper source I could find for stuff like Mara Wilson being in the thing. It was the only thing I could mention that was like, oh, she's in this.
Oh, that's so funny.
I mean, I guess you could just cite the video and be like, oh, there she is. But whatever.
Speaking
I'm not afraid
of,
to ask people for favors.
you're
I'll
talking about
go
the
with anyone.
the We Forgive You, Mr. Boop video,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I recently watched through Mariology,
Oh yeah.
which is pretty good series.
So,
There's
some
a
some
segment
issues,
in-
I think. I think you'll.
we don't need to get into that.
No, do it. Let me have it. No, it's a fun project.
No, I think you mentioned what those issues in the show anyway. So
Yeah, we shot it all in one day. And then it
yeah,
took, like,
for, I mean,
3
yeah,
months to
for
edit.
that it's like really. But in episode 9, you had I think you ended it with like the segment of everyone.
Yes,
saying, like, a compilation of people
you've
saying,
made the
"Thank you,
connection.
Brock."
Yeah, that was like a very clear like, oh, I did that once. That'd be fun to do again.
But it seemed like there were more people saying "Thank you, Brock" than who said "We forgive you, Mr. Boop." Is that because not as many people forgave Mr. Boop?
It's because I think the pacing of the Mr. Boop video didn't need to like I didn't want it to go on that long, and it didn't need to be longer. I think I got way more than I used in the video for the
Oh,
Mr.
interesting.
Boop one.
Anyone notable you left out?
I don't think so. I think I included anyone who was kind enough, any celebrity-esque figure who was kind enough to send something.
You got so many from Joe Biden. He sent you so many. He was like,
He sent me 30.
Yeah.
He sent me 30.
I
Yeah.
forgive
Like, we
you.
only
These are
need
usable.
one, please.
It's all close.
I don't know if we even need that many.
Yeah.
No love for Mario versus Donkey Kong though, is there? No love
Okay.
for that. Ryan was
Did I
ranting
include
to
that?
me.
Did we skip that?
I was
Ryan
not
was
ranting
ranting to
about
me
it.
yesterday about how you hate Mario versus Donkey Kong.
I
You don't
mentioned
appreciate
what was
it.
mentioned
I don't
in the
like
show.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
I love Mario.
You don't like Mario versus Donkey Kong?
I love
Hey,
the Game
okay,
Boy
we are
Donkey
gonna
Kong.
get into this.
The Game Boy Donkey Kong is one of my favorite Game Boy games. So you'd think
It's a
I would
complete.
love...
It's different. It's Lemmings. It's not meant to be
Yeah.
Donkey Kong. It's Lemmings.
But it's definitely in that lineage. It's supposed to be related. Okay.
What, in the Donkey Kong lineage?
I think
It's just
that
another game with those characters. It's a different. It's like Donkey Kong Country isn't a Donkey Kong game.
What are you talking about?
no,
It has Donkey Kong
I
in
know,
it,
I
but
do
it's
know
not
what
like.
you mean. But I those games didn't click with me. I don't like Lemmings either. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say?
Wow. Well, this interview's over. This no. Okay.
Sometimes some things you can't patch over. I don't know. The schism we'll have to deal with.
Did you make book 2 more raunchy on purpose? Perhaps so that you didn't have to put it on Webtoons anymore. Because on Webtoons,
Didn't have to put it on Webtoons.
Because on Webtoons, you've got to notice at the end of book 1, like, oh, book 2 is a bit too raunchy to be on Webtoons, so it's not going to be there. Did you do it to stop?
I don't think I even get through book 1 on Webtoons.
Wow.
I didn't.
do.
I don't like the platform. I love the idea of like platform to post webcomics on, but I think it's best if the creator is able to have their own website for it.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of webtoons in theory, but using it, I was not a fan, and I read the rules about like nudity and content guidelines, and I just bailed. I was like, look, I'm already like, I'm not gonna leave it on there and try to adhere to that. I'd rather just have free reign and not have to worry about any restrictions. So I didn't make it more raunchy on purpose, but if I'd kept it on there, I would have been like trying to keep it within the bounds of their guidelines, and that sucked.
Yeah, you would have had to censor it. Or I think part of the reason we asked this question, right, was because we had not. This was we really tried to cover like every extra thing, and this was an extra panel that was made for the webtoon version that just said, "I'm not posting it here."
And we
that's
forgot
not
it.
an extra panel.
We just
No, but it is in
We just didn't
in
notice
terms of
it.
this podcast where we cover every panel that is like this.
We did.
I'll
So we
count
didn't
it.
cover it, and now we're mentioning it here. Okay.
I think
Now
we.
it's mentioned.
I think we did an episode where we just looked at every tweet you'd made that said Betty Boop in it from before the strip
Whoa.
came out.
There are a bunch.
Yeah.
I used to before I did the comic, I would just do that Betty Boop joke, like Betty Boop.
Right, exactly. I think that's why.
I recorded that at fucking because of time problems or whatever, time zone difference. I recorded that at 5 a.m. At my time, so I was up early morning, like sun was coming up or whatever, and like we were just scrolling through your Instagram, and you're like, we got to find some Betty Boop references. I'm like, I want to go to bed. I'm tired.
Is it 3 a.m. where you are right now?
It is 3 a.m. where I am right now.
I am so sorry.
Usually
Thank you
it
for staying
doesn't.
up late
Usually
to
we don't
accommodate.
start at 2 a.m., but it's whatever.
That makes sense.
I'm a
That's
night owl. I'm fine. That was rough because I woke up early for that. Like I was like, well, I better not go to bed. I mean, whatever.
Oh
This
yeah.
time you're just up late. You're just up past your bedtime doing a podcast. That's
exactly.
easy.
That's the fun bit. I've only got one more question. So,
Okay.
I mean, I was wondering if Ryan wanted to ask another before we go to the finale. My final one.
Yeah. How would the events of Mr. Boop fit into a Roger Rabbit world?
You asked that question
looking
like
at
you
my
were
notes.
like you were ashamed of it.
No,
That's
I
a great
just was like, huh?
question.
What's okay? Yeah.
No, I think like a huge part of why I got so wrapped up and I got so excited about making Mr. Boop is I love the Roger Rabbit conceit of like a world where cartoons coexist with humans. And what would the rules be like? Are you asking? Like,
No.
If I'm not
How
even
does
sure
Mr. Boop
exactly
fit into
that's-
that world?
we kind of
specifically?
explored in book 3. It kind of sets up
if-
a little bit of that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, but not all the characters are like the sort of that sort those versions of like Bugs Bunny, for example, is just like in
He's a
name
guy.
only, sort of like
Right.
Or-
They're not. They're. It's a mix.
he's a
It's
guy
like,
who works at Subway. It's not like
Yeah.
they
It's
don't
revealed
act out
later.
cartoons.
Some of them are celebrities and some of them aren't.
Right.
And it's because like it's not really. It's like it's all conveniently whatever Alec's mind wants to
Mhm.
to convey. So it's
Right.
like it didn't get to be set up as a full Roger Rabbit universe with its own laws and world building. But I think it would function pretty similarly to how I depict it in book 3 with Betty and her dad, and like they're all celebrities being forced to work by their copyright holders.
It's just like Garfield Gets Real.
What is Garfield?
Wow.
I should know about this. This seems like something I need
Well,
to
Garfield Gets Real is the straight-to-DVD movie where the story of Garfield is that Garfield is an actor who acts out the Garfield comic strips.
Yeah.
I gotta watch this. That sounds great.
I remember I have vivid memories.
It's not great.
I have
Well, I'm
memories
sure
of
it's
what-
none of them are great. The only one that's actually good.
Well,
is
okay,
Roger
hang
Rabbit.
on. Wait a second.
Oh, I got a
I'm
bone
talking
to
about
pick
the
with
cartoon world things.
Well, the thing,
I love
is,
Monkey
it doesn't
Bone, I
really
love
explore
Cool
that
World.
concept. It's like, oh, Garfield lives in the cartoon world, and then they go to the real world. But then it could just be like Garfield leaves home. Like they didn't need to have all that story.
That's funny.
Dagwood's in it though, but it's just like they don't talk or anything.
Okay,
It's just
I
like
love
Dagwood's
that.
just there.
Just have a background comic strip.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Dagwood
good.
and I think like
Love
Mother
that.
Goose and Grimm.
I liked that just
But they make up a lot of comic strip characters too for it. Like
that just
so
reminds
it's just like, and then I think those characters carry over into some of the other straight to DVD Garfield movies, like Garfield's Fun Fest, stuff like that.
Okay.
Now
Yeah,
this is unrelated to anything, but I just
we could keep talking about Garfield if you want.
you made me in saying like, oh, Garfield goes to the real world. I just remembered something bizarre. Have you guys seen Super Mario Bros. 3, the show? Like the animated show Super Mario Bros. 3?
A little bit. I don't like those.
I haven't
What?
seen any Mario shows.
What are you talking?
I know, and I
Besides-
love
besides Mariology.
Mario, but I something about those old cartoons.
Those-
They don't feel like Mario cartoons. They feel like filler Saturday morning cartoons with
Wow.
Mario themes slapped on them.
No, I just in that
I guess.
I'm being mean.
In specifically in
No, that's reasonable. I think.
in specifically.
Well, like they would always there'd be like a Mad Max episode, and they just have Mario characters doing a Mad Max thing. And I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah,
why?
that's
If
right.
I
They
like
had the
Mario,
Indiana
why would I
Jones
watch
thing.
this? Yeah.
Wow, you guys don't get it. You guys don't get it.
I
I've
don't,
never
I'm
seen it,
sorry.
so I guess I can't really
In
talk.
Super Mario Bros. 3, the show, which is the name of the second season, confusingly,
Oh, that's right.
they actually in that season alone, and none of the other ones, they make a lot of references to like going to the real world, which is just Brooklyn, but it does not like live action. They're just in.
Do they
they're
animate
just-
Brooklyn ever?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I feel like I remember them going to the real
Well,
world.
isn't
No, I'm
isn't the
asking. I
real
haven't
isn't
seen
the
them all
real
yet.
world like Captain Lou Albano or whatever? Like
That's
the
only
live
in that's
action
only in the
segment?
That's what's
first
throwing
season.
me off.
That's
Yeah,
only in the
okay.
first season. They cut that out for Mario Bros. 3.
I feel like a lot of shows from that era did this. Like Winnie the Pooh, there was that Winnie the Pooh show where they kept going to the real world. Like there were Winnie the Pooh just being like the supermarket for an episode.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be like
There's
it wasn't
a-
like
the
li-
90s, I think.
It wasn't like live action.
There's a Sonic comic that Archie did that was Sonic Live, and it was the opposite, where kids got pulled into the video game.
I've read that.
So the
I've
first-
read
Yeah, I used
Yeah.
to have it. Yeah, the first few pages are like all live action photos of Ken Pender's children.
Oh, weird.
And they also famously they're playing Sonic at one point on their Sega Genesis, but Ken did not own a Sega Genesis, so they're holding sideways TV remotes.
Oh my god! I didn't know that.
So this was still Ken Penders.
Yeah, he was from the start until like 2010 or something, right? I don't know.
He was around for a long
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
but anyway, you mentioned how you were being mean about Super Mario Bros. The shows or whatever. You said you were being mean, and I just want to say we did a test run of this where one of us would ask a question, the other one would
What?
give it.
You're bringing
No,
up
no,
you're bringing up the test
Yeah,
run?
someone would ask a question, and then
Let's
I'd
hear about the test run. I gotta hear about this test run.
the other one would pretend to be you, and I just want to say I got very specifically mean about.
just to for the flow of the questions.
I just want to say, pretending to be you, I did get very mean about the question that Ryan just asked about the Roger Rabbit
Okay.
world. I said that's
you
not.
nailed it then.
I said that's not thematically relevant to anything I've ever done. That's stupid. I hate these type of questions. But also doing like your soft, timid voice, you know.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for
Why
calling.
don't you
me
why don't you
soft
why don't you
and timid, yeah.
demonstrate that right now?
I hate your comic. I hate you. No wait.
Whoa,
No,
okay,
wait a
all right.
second.
No,
Wait.
look, hey, that's how you feel. I'm glad you said something.
I'm Sorry,
I don't know what's going on right now.
It's 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. Everyone.
Yeah, you're loopy.
Do you have any
sorry.
desire to work with copyrighted characters again at all in the future?
With what characters? Comic book
Copyrighted
characters?
characters.
Copyrighted, absolutely. I love it. I was like hesitant to go back to that well after Mr. Boop, but enough times passed that I'm like, yeah, I would do it again.
I guess you already have a little bit now with I have not really read Crime Hop, but I've seen some stuff and so I know about the Garfield stuff. And
yeah, there's some Garfield stuff. But that's like almost a direct commentary on myself having done Mr. Boop. There's a little bit of that in there. There's also like it's a commentary on like furry porn artists. It's a commentary on like I don't know. I've actually seen. There's a couple people I follow who do like just almost methodically post crossover art. I almost describe it like those T-shirts where it was like Rick and Morty and Back to the Future, and you're like, oh, it's two things I like. I'll buy that shirt, and like those sold for like.
Rick and Morty already is.
Yeah,
Back
why
to
would
the
Rick and
Future.
Morty be Back
I
to the
know,
Future?
but it was like they have a DeLorean or something.
That's how
you know what I mean?
that's how
where
those
it's like
shirts work.
Mario is the Godfather or something like he's a
Oh, wait,
talent.
what?
Oh,
There's,
yeah.
like, this
Gangster
tenuous link.
Sonic.
Where'd you get this?
Yes,
Where'd you get this Mario Godfather shirt from? I gotta get one of
You
one
gotta,
of these.
you gotta.
Can
Google
it
this
be
shit.
from
I'm
the
sure
Super
it's out
Show?
there. I made it up.
Wait, no,
but I'm sure it's real.
or
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that advertised to me on Instagram. The Neon Genesis Evangelion Garfield.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
my friend made this shirt.
So that's exactly it. So I was gonna say like that's the sort of thing where congratulations to your friend by the way because it's a great shirt. But I was gonna say yeah like you'll see stuff like that, and I think I've noticed a lot of those people making art in that manner feel a little trapped by it. That's my read. I'm not talking to them directly about this, but I think they've noticed that if they do a Garfield thing like that, they'll get a lot of engagement, and then they'll keep doing more of that.
Yeah.
And that's
Have you
what
seen those?
Crime Hot's exploring a little bit.
Those like it's like a bunch of random fictional characters gathered around a TV.
And there's a
and
tragedy
they're
on
like
television.
Yeah, a tragic event has happened on the TV, and they're like, "Oh no, Queen Elizabeth has died."
Yeah, and it's all of my.
And it's like I don't know, the lawyer from The Simpsons, and
That sounds
and
great. I haven't seen this.
Yeah, no,
Sonic the Hedgehog and whatever and gathered
It
around.
sounds
the
like
TV.
I love the
No.
illustration after Mel Blanc passed away, where it's all the
Oh
Looney
yeah,
Tunes characters.
Speechless.
That's
We've
exactly
talked-
what it's
we've-
like. Yeah, it's
I
like
think we've
it's
met
like
the
a
funniest
fan
things in the
version of
world
that.
to me.
I think we've
And
mentioned.
that one's very
Yeah,
sweet.
we did
It's
end
a
up
sweet
talking. That's
image.
weird. We did talk about that.
I think it was
actually.
because we talked about Speechless specifically because I had just read an article about how they like hoard out Speechless, how they made a bunch of shitty sequels to it that gradually got worse, and then I was like, I got to talk about this on the show. They really did.
That happens a lot.
I'll read an article about. Well, I've got a platform. I've got.
Or listen to a
Yeah.
podcast and like, oh, I have a
Yeah,
podcast.
I gotta relay this information to this audience. None. No.
Are there any arcs, strips, or characters you wanted to use that you couldn't find a place for? I know you mentioned the grandma
arc. Yeah. I
Anything
covered
besides that.
story-wise. I covered everything I wanted to. Character-wise, like there's nobody I really regret not including. I was very picky about who I included.
Olive oil.
Popeye.
Oh, okay. You really wanted Popeye in there. Popeye would have been a great fit.
We were counting. We were like, when the first time you referenced Popeye, or like we made a days since last Popeye reference count.
When was I don't think Popeye was mentioned.
Even
at all,
though
was
we had already read all the way through at that point, I was pretty sure there were no other Popeye references. But just in case,
What was the Popeye?
I mean, there was a
reference? I
days
don't even
since last
remember.
Lyman thing on Being Jim Davis, so we did days since last Popeye reference.
No, I mean Popeye would have been great to include. I think that he would have slotted right in. I made the choice early on to start to pull from different eras. Like it started as like Golden Age.
Yeah, that would be
cartoons.
too
Yeah.
close to Betty Boop.
Yeah, I wanted to differentiate. Like I wanted to keep. So I would do like Peter Griffin. Now we got like some animated sitcom shit. Okay, cool. Now we'll pull in Sonic, so we got some video game stuff. Like everyone was a deliberate choice to expand what a cartoon meant in this universe.
Just try to get as different as possible every time.
Yeah,
or
'cause-
even as niche as possible sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to me, the thing that Popeye offers is the same thing Bugs Bunny offers. So I wanted, Peter Griffin offers his own culture of animation, and you carry that with him when you see that character.
I think the guest comics kind of played with that.
They
really
put
Yes,
yeah.
oh my god.
Because
Well, they all
it's
got
like,
to
oh, here's
bring in
like cereal mascots now. Like
the big one that people really wanted in wasn't Popeye. It was Bimbo.
Why would they?
It was
Why
like-
would they not
Right.
want Popeye? Why would? Why
Well,
would that?
look, I'm sure they did, but I'm saying more than Popeye. They wanted Bimbo. I got messages about Bimbo. But a couple people included Bimbo. I think Branson included Bimbo, Branson Reese.
The Bimbo guest
like-
strips.
I
are
think
great.
that's cool actually, because Bimbo would have been. I don't know how
Bimbo
I mean,
would have been book
there's
4.
in the way in the arcs.
Book
There's not
5 or
really
whatever.
much of a place for Bimbo to fit in. I
Yeah,
don't think.
and
But like
bringing
for the
Bimbo
guest
in-
comics, is like you can have Bimbo fit in all these different sort of ways. Like, what if
Yeah, that
it
was
was
perfect.
this way or this way?
I'm glad
Yeah.
they covered that because if you brought Bimbo into the main story, it would have come with the baggage of like, oh, that's supposed to be like Betty's partner.
Yeah, well,
Like-
what Betty was originally a dog. Wait a second.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of shit. Like that's fine to grapple with in the comic. I could have explored that. Whatever. Who cares? But Bimbo would have been like weird to bring in and not reference the relationship, and I didn't want to do like a wedge between the relationship in that way. And the way it didn't make sense to bring in. But I love Bimbo. Bimbo's initiation is like one of my favorite Fleischer cartoons. That and the Snow White one.
Nothing. I was
Not that I don't. I'm not familiar. I'm more of a Popeye guy. So
I was listening to a podcast on Fleischer Animation earlier today, and they made a joke about Bimbo's initiation, and I was gonna make it again. I was like, wait a second, that was on that show. I'm gonna do that thing I just said I did. I'm not gonna do it though.
That's a great short. If you haven't watched
Classic
it,
Lisa.
it's a very scary short. It was also I don't know if you saw Skinamarink, but they included it in Skinamarink. You can-
oh,
It's one
okay.
of
I
those
have
shorts
seen
that's
Bimbo's
playing.
initiation then.
you hear a little bit of it, and you hear like there's like a refrain in the cartoon where it's like, "Wanna be a member? Wanna be a member?" And you can hear that repeated a lot in Skinamarink.
So you mentioned the crossover T-shirts, right? There's also a long history of these like crossover like comics and fanfics, and I was wondering if you ever read any of those that were, or if there was any specific ones of those that you are familiar enough with to have
but
influenced you.
like, I'll like here's a scoop. When I was like younger, I did like a Smash Bros fan fiction, like
Wow.
probably hundreds of chapters. Who knows? I would just add
You're-
pretty short chapters, but
Yeah,
like
you
on a
You
message.
did Subspace Emissary.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh
No,
my god, that explains everything.
Has all the
love
Betty
Subspace
Boop
Emissary.
references in it. That's
I love nothing more than I put on the YouTube queue of all the Subspace Emissary cutscenes. I love that shit.
no,
Like,
but have you?
I watched. I've never played it, but there's like a Marvel vs.
wait.
Capcom 3. I think is it Infinite? Whichever one of the
Did I
later
say
Subspace
Marvel vs.
Emissary?
Capcoms
Subspace
has-
Emissary is the real thing.
There's
what's
a
what's
fan.
that
yeah.
longest ever fan fiction thing? What's that?
The lo-
Oh, I was talking about the real
Yeah.
Smash Bros. Thing.
yeah,
Okay, so you're
right.
talking about-
That's what I meant to say. What was the real? What's the fan?
I don't
fiction
remember what,
thing?
but it was. There was a period where it was the
Oh,
longest written piece
I
of
know
fiction.
exactly
right?
what you're talking about.
Yeah, and
I've
now
not
it's a
read
Loud
that.
House thing, right? Now the Loud House one's the longest.
But you wrote that, right?
There's a Loud
You
House.
wrote that.
I think the longest
Yeah,
ever
sure.
fan fiction now is a Loud House fan fiction.
That's insane. I barely know what the Loud House is. That's too far.
We're Zoomers.
I didn't mean it.
I'm a Zoomer. I don't-
There should have been a Mr. Media fan fiction.
when I was, just when I was getting old enough to stop watching cartoons, Loud House started airing. I've never seen a cartoon since. I swear on it. I
God
swear on
bless
it.
you. Yeah, me neither. I hate 'em.
But no, any specific stuff like that other than I guess your fanfic.
I mean, I love it all. I love fanfic. I love like author self-insert stuff. Obviously, that was a huge like inspiration for even exploring this in the first place. Like, I don't have specific ones to call out.
because
I definitely was like
I was thinking stuff like Tales
like
Gets
I
Trolled.
used to write fan fiction and insert
Yeah.
myself in them. So like I did like Neopets fan fiction, which you can still find on
Wow.
Neopets published it on the Neopian Times was their like newsletter, and I was like probably 11. That's
they
still up.
published your Neopets fan fiction.
They did.
That's
And
beautiful.
it was like multiple parts. It was called Puntalized Chronicles. I'm sure you can find it if you Google it.
It's called Mr. Neopet.
That's the
Oh, this is really similar, actually. This is the same plot. This is...
Wait a second.
And now we got to cover this.
And then a Pokemon comes in and says, I love your wife Neopet." What the heck?
There's a really weird Evangelion video at the end of the book. I don't understand how you did this. You printed this. I don't.
I don't know how you embedded the video into this Neopets article.
Okay. So like
Neopets is how I learned HTML. So I could have embedded a video very easily.
Genius. So
Okay, Lisa,
Miss,
you have a quiz.
I have a quiz.
A
I have a
quiz?
quiz.
Okay.
On the show.
For
I
me
say
to
that
do?
like it's a prepared thing. But
I
it's,
forgot that we were going to do this. On the show, we have a different segment a different quiz each season, right? And these are
yeah, just do the first
these
one.
are some quizzes that we did in the first season that are completely unrelated to Betty Boop, Mr. Boop, whatever.
They talk about like jazz and stuff a lot on Being Jim Davis. I think sometimes they talk about different stuff. They rarely talk about Garfield actually.
Yeah, it's not really about
Quite a
that.
bit. But so we did. What was the first
We did
one?
Dirty Blues or Dirty Shoes.
There's
I
no
just-
actual
I just-
shoes
I
involved.
just pick.
It's-
I just
So I'm
No,
going to
no.
list
Well, sure. No. Hang on. Okay, pick one.
Dirty Blues.
Dirty Blues. Yeah.
Okay, good because the quiz doesn't actually have anything.
Yeah,
to do
Dirty
with
Shoes
dirty
aren't related. It's just the rhyme. So I'm going to list 2 titles of 2 Dirty Blues songs, and one of them is 2 titles and then one made-up title. And you've got to tell me which one is the made-up title. I believe that's
Okay.
how this game works.
Right, that's what it was.
This is fun.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. Sure it is.
It's fun for me.
You're familiar with the
I like to play games.
from-
I like to play a game.
Unless it's like Lemmings.
Yeah, that one fucking sucks.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Okay,
just kidding.
okay.
You're not going to like the next
Okay,
quiz. Lemmings or
Come on.
jeggings.
okay, you're familiar with the
That was that's the only one I could think of either. I didn't say it. But you got to the same place.
Okay, you're familiar with the genre of Dirty Blues?
Not real. I mean, what, the blues?
Dirty
What's the
Dirty Blues. I mean, you'll figure. It's a very specific subgenre, and you can tell.
I'm not.
You can
Think,
tell. What
okay,
the,
think blues, but
yeah,
dirty.
think blues. The titles that I'm going to read out will clue you into what this genre is. Okay. Let me play with your poodle. Peep my coke. Meatballs.
I'm gonna say, peep my coke.
That's correct. That's the fake
Is
one.
that you?
That's the one I made up.
Love it. Perfect.
Peep.
I
my
don't- I
coat.
had no
I
basis
didn't
for
even
that.
know that we went through that whole list in an episode, and I don't even remember.
We did. That was like a
which one it
year ago. What do you fucking?
I'm going off gut.
No, that was definitely over a year ago. That was at the end of the first season.
Well, anyway.
Because and then we tried to come up with a different quiz for the other seasons, and it didn't.
The last,
it
we
didn't work out.
I
as
wanted.
good. 'Cause
I
the
tried
other
to
list
get
of
more.
because like the list of dirty rap songs isn't as interesting as the list. Of
I was
blues
trying to get
songs.
more. I was trying to get more specific dirty genres to go through each time, right? And it just got to a point where he just didn't want to talk about cock rock. He didn't want to talk about it. You know?
Well, so
I
dirty here means literally like inappropriate.
Yeah.
I thought dirty jazz might mean like
The last
we
one
get a little,
Lisa
we get a little
tried to
dirty
do-
with those notes. We play them off beat,
No.
which is already
Oh.
jazz.
Maybe that too. The last one Lisa tried to do was cock rock or porno
Hmm.
grind. I was like, how about you can just call it conk ronk or pardo grind. So it was like Donkey Kong and Don Pardo.
Yeah, and
instead.
I would.
And honestly, that would have been a much more interesting quiz for me.
So I'd read
Donkey
a.
Kong or John Pardo.
I'd read a.
Also, at that point,
That-
it's just now you have 2 dirty genres, and it's like all right.
Because I couldn't decide which one to do. I was anyway. That the Donkey Kong or Pardo one was I was going to read a sentence from either the Donkey Kong Wikipedia article or the Don Pardo one, and he'd have
What?
to guess.
There was an actual
yeah,
idea
we
for
did
that.
it, and it
That's
sucked.
fun. That's
And
that's
he'd
better. That's the best one so far.
You'd have to.
I do like that better.
It's
Here, do that right
immediately
now. Let's. This is conk ronk or pardo grind. Lisa, what is the question?
Okay, give me a second. It follows the adventures of a gorilla named Blank and his ape and monkey friends.
Don Pardo. God, I know this one. I know this one is Don Pardo. Guaranteed. I promise you I'm right.
Okay, I'll go with that.
You're incorrect. It was Donkey Kong.
Don't double check it. Don't tell me I'm wrong. I'm right.
Okay. Alex is right. I'm right.
You win.
Hell yeah.
They should have made Donkey Kong versus Don Pardo minis on them.
I would have liked that one. Maybe that one would have been good. Maybe that one would have
It still would have been Lemmings.
Maybe that one wouldn't have sucked.
It would have been Lemmings, but all the noises in the game are by Don Pardo.
Can I suggest? Listen, Don Pardo's a great choice, but what about Donkey Kong versus Don Quixote? Because they kind of match a little more.
Yeah, but that doesn't sound like porno.
Oh, I didn't know it had to sound like porno.
Well, no, because Pardo grind it's Pardo grind instead of porno grind.
Okay. Okay. No, I get
Whatever.
it now.
Sure.
I'm with you.
What's your quiz, Ryan? What's your quiz?
Oh, my quiz. So we got very convoluted with the. You've never listened to this show, so I have to explain this. When a punctuation would come up in the comic, we would instead of saying the actual thing that punctuation is called. Depending, I mean, we would still say period. No, we would. No, I think we wouldn't.
They did.
We wouldn't.
In the third episode,
We just didn't sound out. We didn't
You two
sound
were
out.
real
Period.
deep
Yeah,
in this.
in the-
Holy
listen.
shit.
We didn't sound out. Period, because it's just you don't need. It's just a period. You don't need to read it. But if it's a question, what does that
No,
end
wait,
with?
Liz-
It's not. There's a name for it, and we're saying something else because they get really. They have a lot of weird naming conventions on Being Jim Davis, and we had to try to emulate that. Like they have for the Sunday strips, it's like the ventral row, panel C. It's like okay, so and they have the standard countertop position, and for the Garfield strips. So we had to come up with stuff like that. We have all our own naming conventions.
And I want to point out that this partly came about because on the third episode, I said the wrong word for exclamation mark. And
Electro Mark.
That's
that's
not
not
what
what
it's
it's
called.
called. I said the wrong word.
No, you said the right
said the
thing, and then we said it the right way from every other
Yeah, I
episode after
accidentally
that.
said the right one that I'd never said before in my life, and then now we've decided we know what the right way to say that is. Anyway, Ryan's gonna quiz you on them.
Yeah, okay. So what is an electro point?
I'm guessing that's an exclamation point based on what Lisa just said.
The story.
Yeah, Lisa
I'll
gave
lock
it away.
that
That's
in.
correct.
Yep. Okay,
That's correct.
I cheated. I cheated on that one.
Okay. What is an electro? It's not all punctuation either.
Okay.
So it's some of its comic strip elements. So some of them did actually come in handy. Some of them made
And these are all
things
words
a
you
lot.
made up. These are all
Yes.
fake. Okay,
Well,
okay.
terms. Some of them are made it a lot harder, and some of it made it easier.
We sell a
Okay.
T-shirt that
what
has the exclamation.
Yeah, we do.
On
So
it.
I lost my T-shirt. I don't know
wear
where
it.
the T-shirt is.
Gotta buy it before they shut down your store. Yeah.
No, we made sure not to include any actual Betty Boop elements or
Very
even
smart. Much smarter.
Yeah,
than
we
me.
didn't.
or any Mr. Boop elements because we didn't want to
I would have sued.
Yeah.
I would have sued you.
we didn't
yeah.
want to exactly we didn't want to sell we even with the branding of the show we made sure not to include any actual Mr. Boop stuff or anything like that. What is an electro bubble?
That's got to be a shouting word bubble with all the jaggy points.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's right.
That's correct.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. What is an electoral heart?
All I can think is that's when I draw the hearts coming out of characters' heads when they're in
Incorrect.
Ooh, save that for later. Wrong.
love. Okay.
It's when you're asking a question. That's that thing that comes up. It's a question mark.
Oh,
But
the
that's
thing that
not what
comes
it's
up
called.
Okay.
What is an electrile bang?
This I got no goddamn clue, but I'm gonna say
Really?
When Bugs Bunny's on screen. Who cares?
It's pretty close to the actual. It has part of the actual thing in it.
That would
It's an interro bang.
I've never used an interrobang.
Then why did
Well,
we make
it's not the actual. It's not the actual combined thing.
Okay,
It's
okay.
just
I've done question mark and exclamation point. Okay, got it.
Well, no, it's not question mark exclamation point. It's exclamation question mark.
Okay, I've done that too. You're right. You got me.
What is Electries?
Pokemon. It's a Pokemon.
I
want to answer these, but I that one I don't know. I got nothing. Let me think. Would you say it again?
Electries.
Electries.
Electries. That one comes up a lot.
Just a thought bubble. I'm guessing.
I don't think we have a term for that.
You should. That's an
No.
important one. That comes up all the time.
I think because we would just say they're thinking.
Okay.
We wouldn't. So we don't need to say like the type of
If
thing.
it's
it
You
is.
wouldn't say
Useful.
they're shouting. You wouldn't say.
Well, if there's, well, because if it's an electro bubble,
Listen, the more
Well,
inconvenient, the better. I wanted
because
to.
it wouldn't necessarily
do-
be shouting. It could be
I
like
respect
through a
that,
radio
yeah.
or something. It could be.
Okay.
I
like-
wanted to
You're right.
do. I
Maybe-
wanted to do away with the English language by season 2. I wanted to
I think
make
that's
up.
Lisa, you didn't
lofty
want to do
goal.
any
I
of
wanted-
these. This is why the quiz. This is why we started doing a quiz, is because you kept saying the actual
'Cause
thing,
this is-
and I was like, no,
Well, okay.
we're saying the wrong thing.
Oh, it is dumb, and I hate that we do this. But if I wanted to go all in on it, and just get rid of the English language by season 2, that was my plan. Just introduce more of them until we're
I
talking
love
code.
that. I wish you had
It
done
would've
it,
been-
and I'm disappointed you hadn't. Yeah.
So an electries is like ...
Oh, an ellipsis. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Look, I have my own words for them. I call that an ellipsis. I made that up myself. It's pretty handy for me. But to each their own.
What's an AU bang?
A hyphen?
That's question mark exclamation point.
Okay. You split them up. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think
I've
at
never-
first it was there. It was only. I think they were both called electrile bang, and then we called we called that version AU bang.
I'll give you
because of
credit.
Moonbase Alpha.
I do think it's important to put the question mark in front of the exclamation point, or vice versa, depending on what you're trying to get across. So I like that you do
Sure.
have separate words for them.
Yeah, I think I probably agree.
Yeah,
with that.
whatever.
What are funny? No, I agree. What are funny little ones?
I don't know what these ones. I don't remember this one.
You
No,
all
I'm
need to-
genuinely
you all need
asking,
to-
what
you all
are
need to
they?
go to jail. What is this?
Where's Popeye? That's my next. That's the next put on the quiz.
That's I can't. I also can't answer that one. I'm stumped. What is it, lowercase letters?
It's like I don't even know what the actual name for it is.
Oh, it's a
you know,
tilde.
the-
Oh, this the
Tilde,
tilde.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I like funny little ones
Yeah,
better.
that actually works better.
That's just it's a plural. You said ones, but there's only one tilde,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a singular.
Well,
one.
okay. That is a single funny little
That
one.
is a funny little one. Okay.
All right, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We're getting out of punctuation here. What is the expression chair? I'll get for a little bit of context for that term. In Being Jim Davis, they called John's armchair the depression chair.
Ah.
It's got nothing to do with that.
Okay. Oh, that didn't help. I was trying to give
No.
a chair that I drew more than once. I like learning these, but I don't like guessing. I'll say.
You should have watched the show. You should have
That's how
listened to
it
the
goes.
show.
Yeah.
I should have just bought
Yeah,
the
it's
shirt.
my fault. You got to tell me this one. I don't know.
It's the chair in the therapist's office.
Oh, perfect. Okay, there
it
was
makes
a chair.
sense, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Philly D.
That makes a lot of sense. I should have been able to guess.
We
that
also
because-
had different names for the characters like that. They didn't have names, but that's not on here.
No.
Like the therapist is Philly D because that's what their nameplate on the wall says. PhD.
We had a name for Dr. Sonic
that's
the
cute.
Hedgehog before that character was given a name. We forgot what it was.
Yeah, I think we still just called them the Sonic the Hedgehog though. After we found out.
Yeah,
the
we
actual
stopped.
name.
That's
doing
one of
it.
my favorite.
There was
jokes.
the divorce lawyer was named Winecone. A lot of them were named after YouTubers for some reason. I don't even know who that's like a YouTuber not even familiar with, but we had found out about them like after the first session we recorded of this.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So then that just became the thing. The prison guard was named Guy Justine because their hair kind of looks like Guile.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And
Not supposed to look like Guile, but I like that here.
and one of the
For-
inmates, was called Charlie, I believe, because they kind of looked like Charles
because he looked like
Manson.
Manson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that on purpose?
Oh,
Was that on
yeah, right. Yeah, my favorite
Not on
YouTuber.
purpose, but like it definitely
Yeah.
kind of. I don't know. I think in everyone's subconscious when you're drawing like a criminal, sometimes.
Sometimes you go for
Mhm.
Charlie.
comes out. Yeah.
What is the my wife face, or as we would say, wife face for sure?
Oh, that I know. That's the big grin. That's the
yes,
the cocky side.
That's yeah. I think you're doing better with this than Lisa did most of the time.
It was a
So
dumb system.
just from like context clues, not even just figuring it out.
The awful thing is that I failed on these quizzes so many times, but I nearly accidentally said, what is it, electoral point, when I was explaining the story earlier. Before, like, so like, it's in there.
They're ingrained, but you didn't want to ruin my.
Finally
We did like a
been
long. We had a
reprogrammed.
long break between.
I do say these by accident
we had
sometimes, or not that I say them, but I think of it. I'm like, especially when I'm on Being Jim Davis and I'm like describing another strip, and I'm like, oh yes, electro point. I mean, wait, no, we're not. We don't say that anymore.
We had a long break between the finale and this, as you probably noticed, or no, and. The next time I talked to Ryan after we finished the show, he said, what is it called, Electries, and I like shuddered. I was like, oh, don't say that to me ever.
What
it
was
was
the
probably
context
on
for me
Being
saying
Jim
this?
Davis or something. I don't remember what it was, but I was like,
classic Being Jim Davis. What are heart flies?
That's the thing I said earlier. There's hearts flying around a character who's feeling in love.
ah.
See, these are useful. This is useful terminology.
It does make sense that you would need to name all these things if you're going to talk about the comic.
To get to all the thematic details.
See,
of it,
Lisa?
Yeah, you gotta.
See, Lisa. What is the flapper shot? Context for well, yeah, we said so. Stan Cowpo is what they call like the standard position that John and Garfield are when they're standing at the countertop in Garfield.
Oh, that's fun.
And so we had the flapper shot, which is.
So this is something standard I did, like that I went back to a bunch. Flapper makes me think that it has something to do with Betty.
I think this story is not helpful to figuring out what it is.
Then
it was not helpful. No.
Then I've decided.
Well, other than that's where that's kind of how we came up with that. But no, it's a different thing. It's a different sort of. It's not like a specific
It's a recurring element, but perhaps
it's a recurring element, but it's not like a pose.
It's a recurring element. Okay. I think in comics. I think just in general.
I guess,
or perhaps just in like storytelling. I think it's a recurring element.
Okay, now I want to know. Give me the answer.
Yeah, I don't know if this is even guessable. It's just the establishing shot.
Or it's not the
like the one.
It's
or the wide shot, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, which is usually the establishing shot. But it's whatever shot is like used multiple times throughout the comic. Like sometimes there'll be a close up, and then it'll cut back to like where you see everyone.
So that's your understanding.
Yeah, I use
and it's like, okay, so we're back to the flapper shot where we see everyone.
My understanding of it,
or we cut out to the flapper shot.
This already has terminology. Wide, close up.
What is it?
You're using.
Well,
you're using
but it's
right
not
now.
just because a wide shot would just be like. Because it could be it could be different every time. It could be like, oh, this is a wide shot. This is a different wide shot. But it's like the flapper shot is repeated throughout the comic.
Yeah.
My understanding of the flapper.
That's our reasoning.
My understanding of the flapper shot was that it was simply the shot that showed us the most of the location that it was taking place in. That was my understanding this whole time.
I guess that's also true. I think it was maybe inconsistent.
Wow.
Well, I hate drawing backgrounds, so very few flapper shots.
There were a few.
Well, no, it wouldn't even necessarily be a background. It would
just the zoom
every
out.
strip would have a flapper shot. It would be the most.
I think some strips didn't have flapper shots because there would be.
I think by the nature of the flapper shot, they'd need to.
But if there was if there were 4 close-ups, if the strip was just 4 close-ups, there would be no flapper shot.
Then.
I don't think we would say that.
I would have. We're back to the flapper shot. What are you talking about?
This is the final one. What is a talkie?
It's when they added sound.
No.
Well done, you figured it out.
No.
It's a very momentous occasion in evolution of film. Very, very, very cool to see, to hear.
Oh, do you think the movie The Jazz Singer was very cool, Alec? Did you think that was cool?
Have you seen that new Damien Chazelle movie where they about the invention of the flapper shot?
No, I'm not going to see Babylon. My friend worked on that. Props.
Nice.
I don't know. I haven't
Oh,
seen it.
nice.
I'm sure it's great.
Props are
I'm sure
probably
it's
great.
Fine.
Props.
It's
I don't know. It didn't look like it was for me, but that's.
I haven't seen it.
it's very polarizing.
Ah.
I enjoyed it.
Props
Yeah, not
to
for
them.
everyone. What is?
That's
Yeah,
what your friend said on the after they did the
I
movie.
think you can. All right. When they handed in the props to the movie. All right. What? I think you can get this one though. What is a talkie?
A word bubble. It's just a regular old word bubble.
No,
No?
it's the pose where they have their
It's like
hand
the
out
it's like the
this.
Family Guy
Oh,
talking.
okay.
They're
pose.
expressing with their
It's
hand.
like the,
Okay.
It says a character expressing with their hand while talking.
That's fun. That's cute.
this is all very cute, Ryan. This is all.
All right. Lisa, did you have a final question?
Yes. So you know
Or did you already ask
know
it?
a lot of these beautiful fictional women, right? Oh, I've also got a question relating this. Samus, we don't see her at all in the strip. She's mentioned once, but she's in the finale video, and that always bugged
the
me.
finale
Oh, that's
one.
right.
That bugged
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
That wasn't my last question. I mean, unless you've got.
You wanted to see
If
more
we've
Oh
got an
Samus.
explanation.
no! Wait. Let's get into this though,
Yeah,
because
please.
we were kind of thinking about when we were looking through that montage. It seemed like they were all like being brought back to their like being returned to their world, especially the Goku clip. It's like Goku's returned, but like then it's like, oh, here's just Samus like fighting Ripley, or I don't know, maybe that's the joke. I don't know, but
It's not so much a joke. It's open to interpretation. I would describe it as like Samus has been free for a little bit. Like Samus has just been.
But
in
Samus
her
wasn't
world.
the only one. I think the Sonic clip is just like it just shows Sonic on the
Yeah, he's being returned to the
well, I
home
guess
screen.
the Sonic clip
comes
kind of. No, there was another. There were other ones though that were kind of like.
Well, Sonic
Gina
does-
clip was just
Sonic
like it was
does
just like a clip
return.
of Gina.
Yeah, well, but Gina and Samus are both like kind of already outside of the world a little bit.
because
That's my
because
explanation.
Alex.
That's what I would argue.
Well, Gina was in the comic.
Yeah, but-
I know she was in the comic.
I don't know who you're talking to, Ryan, but you know, who you think you're talking to.
But Sonic did return. Sonic is like missing from his title screen, and then he pops
Yeah.
back in. A lot of those were chosen for that,
Okay.
and I was looking for shots
Yeah.
that would illustrate that. Mickey's is also one that he's not like returning, but it is
He's
just,
just
like
like
yeah,
slapped
right,
over
right.
someone.
he's just enjoying
Yeah.
life. Sometimes that was because I couldn't find a shot that illustrated exactly what I needed. Other times it was this just
I know
feels
how that
right.
is.
I want to like show you a little bit of
Oh,
what their
alright.
life is like. Like it should look like things are right for the character now. That's
Okay, I
more
get. Yeah, I
important.
see that. I see that.
All right.
I see that.
So you know a lot.
What's your
you
question,
know a lot
Lisa?
of these cartoon babes, right? You're familiar with
Yep,
them.
I
You're
do.
familiar with them, and you've got connections,
Uh-huh.
right? Could you hook me up with Cruella DeVille?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
thanks. We'll talk about it after the. Yeah,
You're welcome.
cool,
Yeah, no
thanks.
problem. Yeah,
That's really.
please.
I've been. Yeah. Phew. Thanks.
Good choice.
I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna ask something about. Princess Toadstool.
Oh, Princess
Wasn't that-
Toadstool was the other option in case I felt too weird asking about Cruella DeVille.
Okay.
But that makes it.
All right.
You know.
Whatever.
That
but
makes
I
sense.
did-
No, that's good. Good to have
Yeah.
a backup. Yeah.
I mean, she's old and. Yeah. I mean, whatever.
That is
Yeah.
old.
Whatever. Next
Well-
question, Ryan. Why did you make this?
Is she?
She is.
Because you say in the comic that she's. I don't know if we should get.
She's
into
100 years
I
old.
know. Don't get into it. I hate this
All
whole
right.
thing, but I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
This. Okay. All right.
No good.
There you
It's-
go. If you've listened to the podcast, you know.
Yeah, you.
And finally, Mr. Boop season 5, aka not Mr. Boop. Mr. Group has nothing to do with Mr. Boop. Should we cover that on
Should
the
we
podcast?
cover Mr. Group?
That's up to you. I love Mr.
No,
Group, but
we are leaving this up to you because so that we want to make sure. I don't know.
because
You
it's
get
not,
to you get to decide whether
I'll
we
just-
cover this or not.
So I either like it's less. I'm like sentencing you to death.
This
or
is fine. If
freedom.
this is the last episode, that's perfectly fine.
I
wanna-
think it's fine because Mr. Group did not get a conclusion in the way that I would have liked, and maybe I'll get back to it at some point. But skip it. You're good. You're free. You can live your
So,
life.
if it ever
you
did,
guys,
If I finish it, you have to do a podcast about it. Yeah.
Alec,
Okay.
you can't. The podcast listeners won't be able to see this, but there's a beautiful montage going on right now while me and Ryan are being returned to our rightful places.
That's what I wanted. I'm being a benevolent helper.
thank God, we're finally free. I can return to being Jim Davis.
Oh, what a great! Yeah.
All right.
That's everything.
You've been listening to.
You've been
okay.
Should I get?
Thanks for having me. Before you sign off, this has been great.
Oh yeah. Do you have anything to promote?
No.
Mr. Boop season 5.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll do more.
Volume 5. Being Mr. Boop season 5.
Yeah, it's obviously been very great to have you. You should. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm looking for
been
this.
great to
I'm
be
looking
here.
for the actual script for the outro.
Very fascinating to see two people who did such a close reading of it.
Yeah.
It's very
We don't do the whole outro for the bonus
Really?
episodes, Lisa.
Well, how am I meant to end this?
I think we would just say this is being
Okay,
Mr.
well,
Robbins.
you've been listening to Being Mr. Robbins.
Thank you and good night.
Robin, I hardly know him.
For
Huh?
for the final time.
Thank you and good night. This is the end. Say goodbye. Yeah, thank you and good.
This podcast was brought to you by the Pitch Drop Podcast Network. Like what you just heard? Support the show by going to patreon.com/pitch drop. And while you're at it, check out pitchdrop.net for more of this and other shows.